Yo, thank you for listening to episode number 40. This was a fun episode. We had a blast. We had a great dude named Teju Ravilochan on, a dear friend of mine for many years. Teju helped start, co-founded an accelerator called Unreasonable Institute, now called Uncharted. These guys do amazing, amazing work. Teju's kind of been on the forefront of helping people get out of poverty. And so we talked about socially conscious investing. Is that possible? Can you make money and help people at the same time? Our comedian guest, Sam Prickett, was on. Love Sam. Hilarious. He's quitting smoking, so he was most annoying today, but still love him. We then jumped into talking about earnings from Apple, Google. We talked about the Federal Reserve holding interest rates steady. And we talked about the jobs report. 263,000 jobs produced in the United States of America. Were they good jobs? So we talk about that. And then we finished off talking about Tesla and why should we invest, period. I guess it would be question mark. Why should we invest, question mark. And we get into the nitty gritty of why should we even bother investing. Sit back, relax, enjoy the episode. Thanks for listening in. Peace. Welcome to Business News and Other Shit. I'm your host, Amr Abdullah. Thank you guys all for being here. We have an awesome episode because one of my dearest, nearest friends is on the show with us here, Teju Ravilochan. What's up,
Hi,
Teju?
Amr.
How you doing, man?
How you doing? Great. How are you?
Good, good. Thanks for being on, brother.
It's my pleasure.
Teju's on Skype, courtesy Skype. That's the laugh of Sam
Hey,
Prickett.
how's it going, everybody?
What's up, man?
It's good. Nothing really.
Week 1 of smoke quitting.
Yeah, we were talking about that earlier. I'm feeling all right. It's
You
not
look like
bad.
$1 million bucks.
Oh, you're very sweet. Thank
Do
you.
you feel like $1 million bucks?
No, I feel terrible, but yeah.
Thanks for being here,
Get
brother.
through it. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Great. Our main man, millennial gangster, swag fund killer, Yahya Rashid. What's up, man?
What's up? What is it?
How you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Beard's looking great, brother.
Thanks, man. I got a compliment about it today, too. Like, everyone thinks I use dye in my beard, and I don't. It's
What
natural.
color dye would that be?
It's a little reddish.
Yeah.
It's got some red wisps
I
in
think
it.
that's his Turkish roots.
Like
Could be.
Blackbeard.
Yeah.
Or Barbosa. Or Barbarossa.
Barbarossa,
Yeah.
which is
Red beard.
Redbeard.
Yeah.
And the producer with the mostest, Shreya Shedigar.
Hello.
What's up, Shreya?
Nothing much. I'm doing all right. How are you?
Great. It's good to have you here.
Yeah, it's good to be
I
here.
mean, way better than having Chris here.
I mean,
So much better.
prettier, right?
Much.
Thank you.
At least we're not going to get sick.
I think Chris
I know.
is pretty hot.
You think Chris is pretty hot?
Yeah, man.
It's because you're from the South.
Just because he had a fever that day.
Because he looks. Is that like an incest show? Like he looks like he could be my brother.
It could be interpreted that way.
Yeah.
Let's get jumping into this, guys. We're going to first start with Teju, because Teju's got a lot of great experience that I want to talk about and learn from. I think all of us can learn a bunch from Teju. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Let's jump right into talking to Teju, my man. Guys, I met Teju on a trip to the Middle East. We were in Palestine back in 2012. And it was kind of like a thing where people with some business experience from the United States went to Palestine to tell our story and see if we can support some of the entrepreneurs in Palestine with what they're doing. That's where I met Teju, and it was a great meeting, and we've been friends ever since. The last 7 years now, Teju.
Yeah.
So what I learned about Teju was that at that time he was running an organization, a nonprofit called the Unreasonable Institute. All right,
It's a good name.
cool name, right?
Yeah.
It's a new name now. They've changed it to Uncharted. Is that correct, Teju?
Correct.
That's worse. Change it back.
And so what Unreasonable, and at that time what I learned from Teju about Unreasonable was they're an organization that is basically like an accelerator for startups, but not just any old startup. We're talking about startups that are in the business of helping others come out of poverty in particular. Do I have that right so far, Teju?
Yes, they would help others out of poverty, and there were also some startups we worked with that addressed climate change or environmental issues too.
Climate change, environmental issues. Fantastic. Yeah, and so Teju's job as the head, he's one of the co-founders of Unreasonable. And what amount of time did you stay there total, Teju?
9 years.
9 years. Okay, wow. So right out of college, Teju co-founded this organization, and would help entrepreneurs grow their businesses. Give us a couple examples, Teju, that you felt most inspired by with people helping others with their startup.
Sure. Let's start in the United States. So we worked with startups from all across the world, about 500 in total so far. One in the United States is called Mosaic. So Mosaic is like a solar bank. They'll loan you an amount of money that you can use to buy solar panels and put them on your roof. And instead of paying your energy bill every month, you pay off your loan for your solar panels. At the end, you're left with solar on your roof and a free energy bill because it just comes from your solar. They started as an idea at Uncharted, and now they are the largest home solar lender in the United States. So that's one example. We worked with a company that from India that's focused on rural healthcare. Mm-hmm. They developed diagnostic devices that allow you to do blood tests in the field. So there's sort of a cell phone-sized device they have with an attachment that clips onto your fingernail and shines light through your fingernail. And based on the refraction of the light through the blood, it can detect the concentration of hemoglobin in your blood, determine whether or not you're anemic, and diagnose other blood-based diseases or illnesses right there in the field without a blood test.
And again, an entrepreneur approached you guys with that idea, and you then helped incubate that idea, support that entrepreneur, to the point where he was able to fundraise and then launch the product and then help the human beings that were targeted.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
You can test blood without taking blood. I'm terrified of needles. Can I have this technology? See how much I could test my like alcohol blood percent with some high tech. I suck today.
Absolutely, Sam.
What do you mean?
Absolutely.
No, that's what you do. Let's get. Can we mail one to Sam? Let's get the entrepreneur from India to mail one to Sam.
Yeah. Let's just see.
I feel like that's just another form of white privilege in some way. Like you're taking this Indian entrepreneur's amazing idea to help all these people just for your blood alcohol content.
Yeah, just kidding. Yeah, it's just like a party trick, like anything else. Mm-hmm.
What about things around anything else, Teju, that was really one of the more beautiful things that you had come across or that you helped manifest?
Yeah, I mean, we worked with entrepreneurs who were converting waste into fuel of various kinds. So there were several
like
of
shit.
These that would convert human waste into fuel. Some that would convert plant and organic matter waste into fuel as well. In Uganda, it turns out that in a lot of rural communities, people cut down all the trees around the village, so people are left without fuel, especially poor communities, and they have to send young children, instead of going to school, especially girls, to walk for 8 miles, 10 miles outside the village to find any firewood to bring it back so people can cook. So this one entrepreneur named Moses Sanga figured out a way to convert sugarcane husks, rice husks, banana peels into a sort of coal that could be used instead of wood. And it started as an idea. It was reaching about 250 people. Now it's one of the biggest companies in rural Uganda, reaching 2 million families and enabling
families.
Yeah, and now it means that girls that were being sent to collect firewood no longer have to. They're able to go to school.
I thought you were going to say they would just convert them into fuel, which seems they're right there already, right?
That's Cannibal Sam coming out.
Don't eat them.
Do me a favor. Don't call up Moses and try. Is that his name, Moses, Teju?
Yes.
Don't try and steal this technology from him the way you're trying to take the blood alcohol concentration thing. Beautiful, Teju. Beautiful. By the way, with bringing Sam, a comedian, and Teju, I'm bringing two of my worlds together, and they're just massively crashing right now.
Yeah.
So, Sam, please forgive me. Teju, please forgive me. And listeners, God help you.
God help us all.
So, okay, fantastic. So that gives you a sense of what Unreasonable does and how they help many of those who are less privileged. Sam's mic just fell into his lap.
That's called getting head right there.
Beautiful, Teju. Beautiful, man. Thank you for sharing some of that. And I always love telling the story about Teju that inspired you to, move into this, I guess, this type of work. Teju told me a wonderful story when he was a child in India. It's Teju's story. For some reason, I love telling it more than Teju loves telling it. So, when Teju was a kid, probably 8 or 10 years old, he took a trip to India with his parents, and on that trip, at some point,
just
Teju,
let him tell the story.
Come on, I want to tell
That's
it.
crazy.
Really? Should we? Teju, can you tell the story?
No, go ahead, Amr. If you're excited about it, go for it.
Just
Are you
correct
sure?
him when
Because
he's
Sam
wrong.
just shat all over me for it.
I didn't mean to. All right.
Well, that seems like what
real
Sam does.
That's true.
Yeah.
I'm a little out of sorts. Today.
Usually by the end of the podcast, he's also shitting himself.
I've come around. Yeah. No, it's just everyone.
Clean up
it's
his
just
chair.
a spray with no direction.
So I'll finish it. So Teju's on a trip to India as a little boy, and he notices all the poverty and beggars and all the realities of what parts of India has. And he asks his dad, why is it that many people here are poor, yet we're not? We're not poor. And his father said, if I remember correctly, Teju, his father said, well, sometimes that's how it is. It can kind of be luck, unfortunately. And Teju wasn't really happy with that answer. And so at some point, Teju gets lost from his parents when they're in this location. And his parents are like starting to frantically look for him. And they're like, where's Teju? Where's Teju? And they see a crowd of people. Some kind of a ruckus is happening. Mm-hmm. And they go to look. The parents are like, maybe he's over there. I don't know.
He's juggling.
He's juggling fire. No. And Teju's in the middle handing out money to people, just giving money away.
Wow.
And his parents obviously are like, Teju, like they take him away from the situation. Like, Teju, that's not the best solution for the problem. But obviously 8 or 10-year-old Teju is like, why not? That seems like it's just fine. And from there, Teju has begun this wonderful lifelong process of understanding, well, what is the solution? And that journey continues. Did I tell that story right, Teju?
Yeah, I can't. Yes, I can't remember that particular event that you described, but you did hear that from my dad when you came to visit. I don't remember that happening, but I remember having a conversation with my dad where I did ask him about like the poverty and inequality that I saw, and was wondering why it was true. And he did explain that luck piece that you were talking about, Amr, and then I asked him why, even if it were luck, that people who are just lucky, people who are fortunate not to live in poverty, why aren't they doing more to help? And he explained that maybe a lot of people just don't know how. And my dad's a doctor, and I asked him about the fact that he knew how to do something that not everyone knows how to do. You know, when people are sick, he knows what to do. Not everyone knows what to do in that situation. And so I asked him how he learned that, and he said he went to medical school. So I asked him if there's school for poverty. Can you go and learn what to do about poverty somewhere? And that was sort of always in the back of my head, and eventually part of what prompted me to become part of Uncharted, Unreasonable Institute at that time, to try to create that kind of school.
Awesome. Thank you. Let's jump right into it, Teju. So we're an investing podcast, right? And the first thought I have, and by the way, anyone who has a question for Teju, please jump in. But the first thought I have is, I think a lot of people do not link investment with social good. Okay, I think is to tell people like, hey, you can actually invest in such a way where you can also make a return and help people at the same time. Like, do good, take people out of poverty, help the climate, so on and so forth, the environment. You've now been doing this for 9+ years, and you are front line being able to see what that looks like. What's your belief around that? What's your experience with investing, making a return, and doing good?
Well, it's a complex question because I think that when we first started, I was very, very much like, oh my gosh, you don't have to trade off. You don't have to choose one or the other. And I've since come sort of back around, which is to say that, those two things might not be in service of one another in a lot of ways. There are times and contexts in which they can be, but there's not a universal sort of way that we can, I think, make money and do good at the same time, per se. So at the high level, that's what I think. When we started, it was around the time that this new idea was emerging called social entrepreneurship, which is this concept that you can use for-profit mechanisms to achieve social progress. And 85% or so of the companies that we supported at Uncharted were indeed for-profit organizations. So that Moses' company that was producing fuel from waste was a for-profit company. Biosense, that company that makes the blood testing device using light, for-profit company as well. Mosaic's a for-profit company.
All Mosaic's the solar panel bank.
Yes, exactly.
That one's cool. That's a genuinely cool idea.
Amazing.
To have that. Yeah.
Please continue, Teju.
All of those are financially, doing well. I mean, Mosaic has raised hundreds of millions of dollars.
Wow, with Unreasonable's help, with your help.
Well, I mean, we did provide them with mentorship and support. I think that they've raised money on their own efforts, predominantly, but they have done, they've really proved that there's a market need for what they're trying to do. And because they're making it financially lucrative, they are driving adoption of renewable energy, which is great. And, that's a positive social benefit and environmental benefit for the world. So there are contexts like energy in which these things line up. But there are a lot of other contexts that are very, very difficult. For example, clean water and healthcare is a difficult context to make high returns and what's really required as far as social benefit line up. And the reason is that clean water, the main reason to drink clean water is its benefits for our health. But in order to achieve those health benefits, everywhere that you consume water, the water has to be clean, which means that you need clean water at your home, you need clean water at your school, you need clean water at your office, you need clean water everywhere. And the only effective solution that we've found to that kind of 100% penetration of all water sources, making it clean, is through plumbing, which is basically paid for by government, you know? And so it's been a context that's hard for for-profit companies to really deliver that 100% penetration and make that social good work. So it's all to say that it's nuanced, Amr, that sometimes there's alignment between profit and good, and sometimes there's not.
Which one is your priority?
Well, I'm no longer at Uncharted, but when I was there, I mean, social impact was our #1 objective, so we also worked with nonprofit organizations.
Okay. I just thought it would be an asshole question. Like, would you rather help people or make money?
Teju, so when you did help Mosaic or some of these other, or Moses, some of these other people, how would you guys help them? Would you just help them raise money, or was it a completely different? What was the main engine that helped these entrepreneurs be successful?
Totally. So we would bring them to a several-month-long boot camp, basically. They would live together in one house, and we'd bring out about 50 different mentors. These are mentors who have a lot of experience in building business and delivering impacts to people. So they would be people like the VP of Partnerships at Facebook, Ime Archibong, or they'd be people like Tom Suttis, who'd raised $2 billion for the 19 companies that he'd started, or they'd be people like Paul Polak, who'd helped 20 million people out of poverty, or Hunter Lovins, who's a Time Magazine Hero of the Planet for her work in climate change. These sorts of folks who really know what it takes to acquire resources, work well with people, build large organizations, and deliver impact at scale.
You put them in the same room with these younger entrepreneurs, or these entrepreneurs who have ideas to turn human waste into fuel or whatnot, and then obviously magic happens at that point, and they can get their idea off the ground and actually do good and help people.
Yeah, correct. So we bring in these mentors. They come and stay at this house for even up to 3 days at a time and build relationships with the entrepreneurs. They'd adopt at least one who they'd work with over the long term, providing them ongoing support and mentorship. We'd bring in financial professionals to help all these entrepreneurs build their financial models, digital support to help people build websites and other tools online. We'd run funder events. We'd expose these entrepreneurs to 100 funders or so to help them raise money. we provide workshops and training around the critical skills for building business and scaling impact, all in the form of the summer-long boot camp.
Wow.
That we would run.
Beautiful. All right, so you're no longer there. You've since left that organization. That ship has sailed. It is on its way. It's doing its work. What's waking you up every day, man? What's inspiring you? What
night terrors?
What's got you going these days? What are you thinking about? You seem to, the reason I ask it in this way, you seem to be thinking about these bigger problems that not many of us think about. So clearly your evolution and your thinking around these problems must be growing. Where are you moving towards?
Well, so I really am proud of the work that we did at Uncharted, and I love the entrepreneurs that we've gotten to support and their courage, their bravery. I learned a lot from working with them, and one of them was this guy, Naveen Kumar, who comes from Hyderabad, and he's trying to build a network of affordable preschools for children living in the slums so that children living in slums also have a great preschool education. It was costing $8 a month, very affordable. He had built 25 schools, and each one of them, a number of them were profitable at the time that he came to our program. So when he came to our program, I asked him, this is amazing. You've got such a great nucleus here, both in terms of impact and profit. How are you going to grow this so it reaches 250 schools, 2,500 schools, and so forth? And he expressed that, the number one barrier that he faced outside of funding was the attendance of these kids, which I found odd because they were now able to afford coming to his school. And he explained that a lot of them would get malaria, or their parents would require them to stay home and help them do work that was needed around the house.
Right.
That the girls weren't often sent to school because their education was not as valued as it was for boys. And this made me realize that if he really wants to educate this population, if he does only great education, builds great curriculum, trains teachers, builds school buildings, etc., to enable that is only one part of what it takes to deliver education. It also requires that these kids are healthy, that their parents value their education, that their parents have the ability to make enough money so that their kids can go to school. There's a whole set of other factors that are there. And it made me realize that this made me wonder, how do we intervene holistically? How do we really surround people with the support that they need? And if I think about my own life, I had health, education, parents who loved me, a roof over my head. I had all these different needs met. Right. And that's, I feel very lucky because I had all those things at the same time. I think, and so that's been a question that I've had, is what does it take to actually do that? And then what is it?
Yeah, almost like how do you bathe a human being who doesn't have all these privileges? How do you somehow bathe that person who might be in rural India or some other part of the world where they're underprivileged? It almost sounds like an impossible question.
It almost does, and yet many, many humans have that experience. Like you and me, exactly. Where we have all of our basic needs met, right. And they all connect to each other. And so that led me to a question about, how do we change the systems that are at play in our society?
LSD in the water supply.
Just put LSD in the water supply, yeah.
Yeah.
Take good note of Sam's suggestions, Teju.
Yeah.
You should be quickly getting to know who Sam is with his suggestions.
So I think that's been on my mind, is just what does it take to build systems that holistically deliver people what they need to get their basic needs met.
Well, okay, so on that note, let's ask a really simple question. I'm sure that you may have thought about this, you maybe not. Some people throw out, Yahya had mentioned something yesterday, we were talking about this. Some people throw out to solve all poverty in the world, you just need $100 billion or $1 trillion or whatever. And so the idea of handouts comes in, Mm-hmm. Have you ever thought about whether, let's just take homelessness in America, for example, poverty just domestically. If the number was 500 billion or $1 trillion and someone stepped up and was like, we're going to do this. We're going to give this $500 billion and solve the homelessness problem. Can you throw money at a problem like that and solve it?
It's a great question. I mean, I think the answer, I've definitely thought about that. The answer that I currently have is I don't know. And I think nobody really knows because we haven't made a sustained and systematic attempt at that. There are experiments that are popping up right now, ranging from universal basic income, which is being piloted in several cities across the United States, to charities like Give Directly, which have popped up, that just provide cash to people and say, go, like, use this cash and change your life. And in some cases, I mean, those approaches have really created change, and in some cases they may not. And so part of it is learning through experimentation and trial and error, rather than using our belief systems necessarily to make these assessments about what will work and what won't work. And that's one of the interesting things that happens in these discussions, is everyone has an ideology or a belief system with which they come into this work with. But it's interesting if we can set aside those beliefs and we can try different experiments and just learn from what actually happens.
Right.
I think, you know, one of the things that I've been really fascinated by is the role of belonging, is the role of people feeling like they are connected and have deep relationships with other human beings, as one of the most fundamental components of what it takes to escape from poverty, or for any kind of
addiction too. What's that, like, a study they did with rats, where if they give just a rat alone in a cage and they give it like one thing that hits for water and one thing that hits for cocaine, it will hit the cocaine thing until it dies. But if you have a community around the rat and in a cage with a lot of other rats and like things to do, none of them develop an addiction with cocaine.
They'll go hit on the water instead of the cocaine.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because they have a community and like they don't need.
Yeah, there's something about that I think is really powerful. I mean, so one of the organizations that we supported at Uncharted is called Thread, and Thread works with young students who come from neighborhoods in Baltimore that have a 6% high school graduation rate. And these students are often performing in the bottom quartile of their class.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's because things are happening at home, like their parents are getting arrested, or maybe they're doing drugs, or their parents are abusing them.
Right.
Or other things are happening. It may have nothing to do with their parents, but there's a lot of outside classroom difficulties that they face that make math homework seem like it doesn't really matter, you know? And so Thread wraps around these students a network of 5 volunteers whose role is in essence to provide unconditional support to this kid, whatever they need, 24/7 for 10 years.
10 years.
10 years.
Wow.
And because of that's the only intervention. That's it. And there's a lot of support that Thread provides the volunteers who support the kid. 96% of the students who go through Thread's program graduate from high school, even though they're coming from communities with 6% graduation rates historically. So, and Thread's realized that, you know, if you can address social isolation for people and really give them a sense of unconditional belonging, they will figure out the rest in a lot of cases.
Wow.
And, you know, if I think about my own life, the thing that I'm the luckiest to have is a family that loves me no matter what. It's a group of people who are there for me no matter what. Whatever happens to me, my parents, my sisters, you know, have my back in some way. And, you know, as I've been interviewing homeless people, I've been asking them a little bit about why they became homeless, and all of them have amazing stories, but they follow this theme. I was okay. Something happened to me that was bad. Nobody was there for me. And for the people who have gotten out of homelessness or who have avoided homelessness, their story is, something happened to me, somebody was there for me, that turned everything around.
Right.
And so there's, I think, you know, your question about money is interesting, because if the money is provided only by itself in isolation,
it's a rat with cocaine. It just doesn't do anything. You need the people there
I think it does something for sure. It's hard to argue with the power of money, but I think a far more powerful solution includes social belonging, includes a sense of community and relationship. That's what I would say
Wow.
right now.
That's wonderful. It makes me think about people or myself. Shit, I was talking about myself. Walking past a homeless person with some sort of subconscious judgment, you know, and hearing your experiment of interviewing homeless people and hearing that it's about, you know, no, something happened and then I was alone. No one was there for me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like what's really going on, and how can it almost makes it impossible to walk past a homeless person and ignore the situation after I hear something like that.
Sure. The problem, though, is several homeless people, real bummers to be around, really not a fun time to hang with.
Well,
really.
maybe you should stop doing that, Sam.
What? Hanging out with homeless people?
Yeah.
I'm trying to help them, bro.
Um,
All right, so let's. Teju's looking at.
Well, let me just say one thing about that, which is, you know, like, so I think there's a large group of homeless people who have mental illness. 30% of homeless people face mental illness.
What's the percentage? An
estimated 30%.
Okay.
You'd think it'd be higher than that.
That's our current data about mental illness among homeless people. About 2/3 have some issue with substance abuse. But you know, an interesting question is what enables people to be mentally healthy? What enables people not to need substances? And a lot of what we currently understand about the answers to those questions, though they're very, very complex, and I'm dramatically oversimplifying here, is that deep belonging, community, deep and meaningful relationship, you know, are often, and the lack of those things are often drivers for a deterioration of mental health or for turning to substances as a source of comfort. And so, you know, I think that's what's really challenging about the homeless population is that I think a lot of folks have this perception that homeless people want to be homeless or they're very difficult to engage with, and that actually might be true, at least from their experience of homeless people. But when real relationships can be formed with folks who are homeless or communities can be built, a lot of things can change for them. And I've been learning that just through the small amount of volunteering work I've been doing for an organization that's helped about 100,000 people get out of homelessness. And 96% of the people that they help stay out of homelessness forever. But the main reason that they stay out of homelessness, or one of the main indicators of whether or not they'll stay out of homelessness, is whether or not they make friendships. So it's something really powerful in community that is, I think, undervalued in how we address some of these issues.
Yeah, what you're saying is basically in an effort to help people in poverty or people who are homeless, it's not simply you know, a one or two variable solution. Really, the solution wants to be, whatever the solution is, it should be driving at thinking about community and belonging and support from a human being level.
In a way, I mean, because think about, you know, if there's all these interrelated, complex issues that need to be addressed at the same time, what are some of the best ways to address those? And I think if you can do that through other human beings, that winds up being very powerful. Like my parents helped me get education and health and a sense of belonging and food, all these other things. And there's something about human relationship that allows us to access all of these services.
Right.
I got a question.
Yeah, go ahead and jump it in. Yeah, give the question. It'll be a last question because we got to wrap up with Teju. Teju, just be aware of time. We got 2 or 3 minutes for this last question.
Sure.
Okay. So like for a common person, so like for us, for example, what's something that maybe, because it sounds like you're doing great work and I appreciate that, and you just being able to do that kind of stuff. But like, what's something that we could do to help out in those situations, or, you know, like a common layperson could do to help out with that problem or some other problem?
Well, it's a great question. I mean, I think the answer is that I don't know. A part of it is a question of, well, what do you mean by how can I help? Do you mean how can I do a very small thing that doesn't allow me, through which I don't have to change much about my life? Or do you mean like how can I make a really transformative difference in this issue? I think to be honest, if we can cultivate a sense of interbeing, a sense of we're in this community together, and it's our responsibility as individuals to care for the collective well-being of our society. The individual acts that we take add up to a cultural narrative. And so if we have a cultural narrative that says it's your job to take care of yourself, and if you haven't been able to take care of yourself, it must be because there's something wrong with you, then we'll have the reality that we currently have in our country, where about 40 million people don't have health insurance, are eligible for it but not necessarily using food stamps, where 64 million people don't have access to the internet. Just enormous swaths of our population in the United States, one of the world's wealthiest countries, lack access to some very, very basic services. And so I think each of us can do the work to build relationship and see ourselves as living in community with other people who face different sets of challenges than we do. That would be, I think, one of the most powerful things that we could each do. So what does it take to really build an authentic relationship with someone who might be homeless, or with someone who might have a different background or experience than we do?
Thank you.
Cool.
Love you, Teju.
Great.
Thank you so much, brother. I really appreciate you jumping on, schooling us on what you do, schooling us on social entrepreneurs, socially minded entrepreneurs, investing with them, and all of the talk about homelessness and how that manifests in the world and the solutions around that.
My pleasure. Thanks so much for having me, and it's great to meet all of you, and I really look forward to the next part of the show too, where you get to talk about the financial state of our country, and I'm curious how that conversation can also consider those who might not be included in that financial growth and development.
Yep.
Yeah. What stock should homeless people buy? Yeah.
They should buy no
Amazon?
stock. No, they should buy no stock. They should just find you and just kick your ass the whole time. That's
Me? Why me? I'm almost there.
Easy target. Thanks, Teju. We'll see you, brother.
All right.
Nice seeing
Thank
you.
you.
That was
Bye,
interesting.
guys.
See you, Teju. Thanks.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
All right, let's keep going here,
Wow,
guys.
cool.
That was Teju.
That was cool, man. Aziz Ansari really got his act together after that Me Too thing.
So let's talk about some business. So what do you guys think of Teju?
It was cool.
Right?
Yeah.
Dude.
Interesting work.
Yeah.
Incredible, yeah.
Yeah, very powerful. What struck me the most is how it's all about belonging.
Yeah.
That's what he's finding in his work.
Yeah.
You know?
That makes sense though. I feel like we talked together some episode about how like the number one way for people to be happy in general, like from like some Stanford study, was like over like a 75-year life of like this like group, was relationships.
Yeah.
Not like money or anything else. It was
I remember
being
that.
with people. Yeah.
What else would it be though, right? Like what else like actually exists in life?
Fame and money, right? No?
So, yeah, that's
I
a
mean,
good
shit,
point.
I'm not going to lie to you. Like, I fall into that trap all the time. Like, that's what it's about, fame and money. And then I catch myself, I'm like, what the hell? Why
Yeah,
are you,
but
why
you
are
know,
you
logically, it's like it's not. It's just like that ego thing in you. It's like, no,
Well,
I want to be great.
Well,
But
guess
then-
what? I feel like the majority of people, I'll put myself in that majority, intellectually or rationally might understand that.
Yeah.
But the heart is a whole nother matter.
Yeah, yeah.
The subconscious,
You're like
the heart, the-
yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, like we just end up acting and behaving out of instinct and out of what's the word? Like impulse.
True. Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the markets a little bit. So it's, let's talk about the news this week. So today is Friday, May 2nd. The payrolls report came out. The economy added 263,000 jobs in the United States. Very, very strong number. All right. That's basically a booming economy under any other circumstance. But these days, if you look at the wage growth, or like how much people are making at these jobs, or what kind of jobs these are, I haven't been able to look at what kind of jobs these are. I'm looking at like how much money are people making, and a lot of times people still need to hold down 2 jobs to cover their expenses. The actual money that people are making is just questionable. You know what I mean? And I think the types of jobs. Only anecdotally am I saying this, But it just seems like the idea of getting a big job and having a big career for more and more people that are in my circle is less and less likely. You know?
Yeah. No, people really don't do that anymore. Everyone that I know that like went to college and got some degree in like a career-oriented, course of study is just like a waitress now. There's no.
It's like the millennial thing. They're either in a ton of student debt or like, I don't know, health expenses.
Well, we don't like working and we like drinking, and that's the most conducive.
Actually, man.
No, I've been drying up, man. I think it's people or the people I'm around.
That's
I'm in
another
a
reason why
circle.
You look so good. Less drinking too, huh?
Yeah.
No, but truth be told, I'm hearing that there's a decline in general. There's a decline in drinking. Like some of the beer sales
because
and
weed's
legal
sales, now.
I think
There's
that's part of
option,
it. Cannabis, I think cannabis is part of it.
Yeah, but you have to be on something though. You can't live life sober. What am I, a robot?
I mean, we just had Teju talking about how like relying on substances is what's gonna make you homeless.
True. Yeah, that's true. But also like it's also like a spiral too, because like what are you gonna be homeless and you're not gonna do drugs? Like what's the point of being sober and homeless?
I would love to have an answer pop out of my head and respond to you right now, but I ain't got shit to say to that.
That's what I'm saying, right? There's the only thing to.
All right, so strong hiring, 263,000 jobs. The unemployment rate went down to 3.6%. Basically, of those who are looking for employment, 96.4% of people have a job. So if you want a job in the United States of America right now, you can basically you have your pick at it. Is what I'm basically saying.
Pretty good.
The quality of the job, different question.
So 96% of people are employed. How many homeless people are there?
I don't know.
What's the percent?
Teju, I don't know how many homeless people. Teju threw out a number of 40 million people don't have health insurance or other basic needs met.
Yeah. So a lot of people that have jobs technically are not.
Correct. They have the jobs, but they don't have the insurance coming from that job, or they don't have enough money to pay for insurance or other basic needs. So that's.
What about like societal welfare, right? Like unemployment benefits.
Yeah.
I don't understand how.
Well, there are unemployment benefits. That's one thing. So if you lose your job tomorrow, if a person loses, they can request unemployment benefits, and you will get for a certain number of months.
Yeah.
What your pay was, or at least a percentage of your pay.
Yeah.
So yeah, those do exist, and that is funded by like an employment fund. Like whoever has a job and you pay taxes, some of that tax goes to the unemployment fund. Yeah. So yeah, that's there, as well as welfare, general welfare like food stamps or the Link program. A lot of that is also, there to help people.
Yeah. So my question is, how are people? How do they still end up on the streets if they're like, structures like that?
Mental illness.
Well, yeah.
I would assume. What like 30%. That has to be more than 30%.
I understood Teju as saying, he said most of the people, their story is, I was fine. Then something happened dramatic, and then there was no one there for me to support me. He's like those three steps. That story he heard a lot from homeless people, and so I think that's what gets person's just on the fringe making some sort of minimum wage, and then something happens like a death in the family or a car accident or something.
Oh,
and
like
then,
that. Okay.
And then
you just spiral for the rest of your life.
Yeah, you spiral out. You probably turn to some sort of substance abuse or something.
Yeah.
So strong hiring in the economy. I think that number, Trump will come out and say, best numbers, best economy, best this, but I think it needs to be taken with a grain of salt in the sense of like, I looked at wage growth, like how much money people are making today compared to like 30 years ago or 40 years ago. I think it was 1969, so that would be 50 years ago. So 50 years ago to today. And if you look at, let's see, from 50 years ago, if you take into consideration inflation and number of hours worked, people are actually working less hours, and inflation has obviously been going up, meaning the purchasing power of money has been going down. People are making basically the same amount of money they made 50 years ago. So
like hours? Currency or like equivalent of lifestyle?
Equivalent of lifestyle.
Yeah, I heard
50 years ago? That seems fine. Is that bad?
No, yeah, you'd want.
We're working less.
No. In general, we're living off pretty much the same amount of money as we were 50 years ago, despite everything being way more expensive.
Oh. Sure, yeah, but I'm fine.
Yeah, you're privileged.
That's true. Am I though? I mean, yeah, I'm white and a man in America. I don't have to worry about a lot. I think most of my privilege is I don't have children. That's the biggest privilege you can ever have. It's not, I'm sorry, but you got love in your life or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I work a short amount of time. You just find a cheap place to live. Lower your standards, I think, is the best advice you can ever give anyone.
Yeah. Now, fast forward. You're 22?
22, yeah.
22. Fast forward to 32 as you develop as a human being, and you're like, yo, I want love in my life. I want to have a kid or two, right? And you're again, you as a white man may have an easier time getting a higher paying job. May not. But according to statistics, you may.
Not in comedy.
Definitely not in comedy. They'll never pay you.
You take it back.
But yeah, no. So like, fast forward 10 years when you're in your 30s, and it's a different story. Like you can be like, wait a minute, you want me to live off $30,000 a year with 2 kids and a wife?
Yeah.
Like that's not gonna work. So
that's true.
So anyway, that's the hiring. Then this week we had earnings reported. So some companies announced what profits they made. Google.
Can I go on that point for a little bit more though? Like just because you want a thing doesn't I would love to have a Ferrari, but if I can't afford a Ferrari, I shouldn't get a Ferrari. I'm saying children are people Ferraris.
You shouldn't.
If you can't afford a child,
don't have a child.
Don't have a child.
That is the most preposterous, ridiculous thing ever. Your whole point of being in existence is to reproduce. Like that's part of life is to reproduce. No,
that's true.
Isn't that what animals in the jungle do?
I mean, that's yes, but
fine. Maybe it's not your whole purpose. I'm going a little.
But there's
extreme.
now too many people.
But my point is like.
So we need some people to not, and if you can't afford to have it, then don't.
Maybe we shouldn't have Sam reproduce. We don't want his genes.
Well, I mean, I super shouldn't. My cum smells like gasoline. But
did you just say that out loud, or was that in your head?
I don't know.
And why does it smell like gasoline? Anyway, so okay, fine. Maybe I'm being extreme. Whoever doesn't want to have kids, don't have kids. But make that a choice, a non-economic choice. Like if you don't want to have kids.
But why everything's an economic choice?
That's why I think it's bullshit. It shouldn't have to be that way. It's not. You think it was that way, like.
But if you don't have control over, this is maybe a bad thing to say, but if you don't have like control over your own like finances and are stable enough to like live, maybe you aren't stable enough to raise a human being. Okay,
fine. My point is this, Sam. All right. My point is it's a broader. Think more broadly. Like God.
Yeah.
Left stuff on the ground for us
to eat
and on the trees.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
We just gotta pick it, grab it, eat it, cook it, whatever.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
He even left animals for us to
have
ride.
Sex. Yeah.
And to eat. All right. So it's all there. But what happens when a group of people hoard somehow all the resources in a way where
what happens?
When in a way where all these other people, so the minority hoard everything, and the majority are like, well, wait a minute, I want to have kids and I want to have a house too.
Yeah.
Why can't you just share those resources?
Yeah.
I think that's what's happening in the world, and thus we're having class warfare. We're having.
But you either live in that or you do to change that. You can't live a way that society doesn't exist. I agree with you.
Okay.
But like, if you're in it, you either change it or you're just forced to live inside of this thing.
Well, I mean, what you're basically saying is revolution.
Yes. Acid in the water supply. That's what I'm saying. That's what I've...
So that's the hiring. That's the big news of the week of the jobs report. Google and Apple reported earnings. Google was the big surprise. Remember when we had Mansour on, the executive from Google's advertising division? Yeah. Guess what? Their advertising division reported lower profits. So a little chink in the armor of the Google armor.
Excuse me?
Yeah.
It's all Mansoor's fault.
Yeah, it's Mansoor's fault.
Because he spent too much time on this podcast.
Yeah, instead
You
of
took too
selling,
much time away from him.
instead of selling ads to, I don't know, Ford Motor Company.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Google, everyone thought their, advertising business was just this beast that's just going to keep making money forever. And suddenly everyone's like, it was like, why aren't they making trillions and billions of dollars? So so that was reported. So just be aware of that. I'm personally still, if I'm going to be buying Google, deciding whether to buy Google or not, I would be like pro buy Google, pro purchase Google.
Continue to wait. This is a joke I couldn't say.
Yeah,
But
Sam's writing a joke that he can't say out loud. I will not say that on but that was good.
Not bad. Yeah.
I won't even hold it up to the camera. The other thing was Berkshire Hathaway. So Warren Buffett. Do you know who Warren Buffett is, Sam?
I like his music.
Jamie Buffett? Warren Buffett is probably his uncle. No, Warren Buffett is one of the richest men in the world. He's the most successful investor in the world. This guy announced that he's buying Amazon stock in a huge way, like billions. He said, I met Jeff Bezos before, and when I met him, I underestimated him, and I didn't buy his stock back then. But now I'm buying it. The fact that he's buying it now when that company's worth so much money, $1 trillion, tells me that this guy's like a long-term buy and hold kind of investor. It tells me that
Amazon's the new Illuminati.
Exactly. It tells me that Amazon might actually be a pretty good purchase right now because Warren Buffett is probably thinking long-term, this company is just going to continue to grow into some sort of crazy behemoth beast of an American company.
Have you heard of like the self-fulfilling prophecy idea, right? So like if he says it's going to be like a good future for Amazon and buys it, and then that's going to influence everyone else to buy it.
Him putting $1 billion in the thing is just what's going to make it.
Yeah, exactly. And then everyone else is going to be like, oh, Warren Buffett is doing this, right?
So just when he announced it, the stock right away popped 3%.
Yeah,
it went up 3%. Yeah. So it already went up several $1 billion in price. Damn. But the question is, how much more from there on a longer term basis, is it going to go? And I mean,
can it get bigger? Like it's already
it can monopolize this whole country.
Ooh, we're
gonna have President Bezos.
Probably
not even we're just President Amazon. We're just gonna have a box with the weird smiley face sitting in the Oval Office.
We're going to have Amazon Prime as our president.
Yeah. At least they have some good TV shows.
Yeah. Hopefully they'll film some shit out of the Oval Office.
Yeah.
What were you going to say, Yahya?
So when people like that, like Warren Buffett, say that they're going to do something like that, do they normally let people know, and like in secret, hey, I'm about to say this out loud? So to let them know, hey, you should start investing because this is definitely going to go up right now.
I mean, that's illegal, right? But they sure they do.
It's called front
insider trade. No,
it's called insider trading or front running the market.
I'm an idiot.
Gotcha.
Just because you got the insider trading count right doesn't mean you're not an idiot.
Oh man.
So that's been announced. So just beware. I mean, look. If I'm a buy and hold guy, I buy like the index S&P 500 stuff, but I don't mind keeping a small chunk of money just to play around with individual names. I'd be buying some Amazon right now.
Didn't the index go down a little bit a few days ago or so because of like the gas prices or whatever?
Yeah. So in general, stocks were mostly moving down all week.
Yeah.
And then they popped today because of this report on jobs. Mm-hmm. Everyone thinks the American economy is just doing much stronger than they thought.
Yeah.
Why was it going down in the middle of the week? Was it because of oil, you're saying?
That's what I read. I read because there was so much oil, a surge in oil, and then not much demand for it, that oil prices just dropped. Oh. And that because for example, the S&P kind of dropped a little bit from what I was paying attention to.
I wouldn't expect that to actually happen. I would not expect that decline in oil prices would make the stock market go down. But I
think it was a Bloomberg report kind of thing.
It could be that a decline in oil prices means like Exxon and Chevron and all these oil companies will make less money, and therefore, it could be. Okay, I don't know exactly why, but it could be.
Gotcha.
Apple also announced earnings, and sure enough, their sales of their iPhones did go down, like they had predicted a few months ago. Everyone's just starting to think like Apple is, from a hardware perspective,
not great.
not great. It's not going in the right direction, and the days of making billions and billions of dollars off of iPhones is kind of going away. Everyone's making a phone these days. I think what Apple's doing in a slick way is moving way more into services. All right? I'm talking about like everyone wearing an Apple Watch, not just to check the time, but it's like monitoring your health. It's sending feedback to your doctor.
Yeah.
Apple getting into all sorts of more service oriented. They're launching their Hollywood program. They're going to basically have Apple TV in a way that Netflix has. Apple streaming. So I think they're thinking more about services.
Don't they already have Apple TV?
They have Apple TV, but they don't have a streaming service.
Yeah. iTunes.
Yeah, well, no, but even iTunes, there's nothing there. You just buy stuff off iTunes.
That's true.
You can buy a movie off iTunes.
Yeah. So it's going to be like another Netflix, like everything is?
Amazon Prime,
Dude.
Netflix, Disney Plus, I think, is coming out with one.
Yeah.
So streaming is the way the world's going right now.
I feel like Apple's kind of falling behind because I feel this is my belief, and maybe some other people that I've talked to, but like because I feel like they have so much more they can add to their phone, but they hold off on adding it.
Really? Like what?
I don't know. I just feel like that they have so many more.
Like someone smarter should come up with a thing, but they could for sure be doing more.
Like I feel like
he wants a hand to pop out of an iPhone, just start like caressing your body and giving you a massage.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what you're just projecting onto me.
Oh, okay.
But
Well, then that's what I don't want.
No, but like I feel like they have so many more upgrades that they could do.
The iWife?
Yeah.
The iCar?
Yeah. The I'm lonely.
It would be iCarly because
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
that would be the iWife's name.
Yeah, Carly. Because of that show.
The show. Exactly.
Yeah.
What show?
There's a show on Nickelodeon
Yeah.
called
Yeah.
iCarly. Yeah.
Oh, iCarly.
And also, yeah.
With Miranda Cosgrove.
Yeah.
You're too old for it.
This all sounds like...
And she's still like 16 or however. Is it legal to have sex with an AI minor? Like if an AI was...
Like a robot?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that would be legal, actually.
I mean, they'd be like, what, a few days old by the time you get it?
Are you asking
that's
because from experience? Like, are you worried about being arrested for something? You have that robot bit.
A robot. She said she was 18. Turns out she was 16. But I didn't know. You gotta.
It's funny because it reminds me. There's a paper on the board at my work talking about consent and all that, and it's like ridiculous.
They put that up for Sam.
It's like ridiculous stuff that people know. Like no one would ever say. Like, oh, you're not really into this. Do you want to just come over to my place, or do you want to stop in the middle of like doing whatever we're doing, or do you want to just like?
Is that what the paper says?
That's literally what it says. It's like, oh, maybe you're not into this as much as I thought you would. Do you want to just stop right now, or do you want to just come over and like actually watch TV?
Is it targeted towards the man or the woman? I guess.
I feel like it's
the
more
man.
targeted towards the man.
Yeah,
but it doesn't
women
specify.
rapist. Yeah.
It's just ridiculous stuff. It was kind of funny.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, I would. But is that ridiculous? Because I've been in, positions where it's like, oh, they got a date or something, and she's like, maybe, and then it just body language is clear. It's like, all right, I guess it's not gonna happen.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. No, this paper specifically said like, hey, do you want to have sex tonight? Like that's exactly.
But I mean, I've had a similar thing because, like, I don't know, maybe I'm just bad at making moves. Well, I think I'm so anxious that I just accidentally fall into like a woke category where I'm like, I just would have like, is this okay that I like? Yeah. I'll be like in the middle of a thing and I'll be like, is this okay with you? Yeah, I'm just insecure. Yeah. Are you having fun or?
Am I doing it right?
Yeah.
I think all of this is probably on the back of everything happening in the world and men over communicating, which is, I don't know, overall probably a good thing, probably less romantic, but it's like,
a blowback from like when we invented rape about 6 years ago, and then now things have been a little weird since.
It was only 6 years ago, according to Sam.
Can you take off the headphones and the mic and just leave?
Can you listen to yourself, please?
Yeah, Sam's putting his headphones back on. All right, so that's earnings. So anyway, so Apple, but they did show that on the services side they're doing a little better, and everyone's starting to hope and pray and be like, okay, we hope this Apple engine. I mean, Apple is making so much money, you guys have no idea. Everyone wants this Apple engine of money to keep coming in. So it feels like this transition and this shift is starting to happen. The Federal Reserve Bank. So they had a meeting about money this week. They met to talk about the policy of money, the money supply, what to do with money.
Just this week? They're not doing this all the time? Isn't that the whole thing? That's the whole thing, right? What else would they be doing?
It's a convening of their board, which is not every day. No.
Okay.
Yeah. So along with some of the regional vice presidents, some of the regional Federal Reserve presidents, like the Federal Reserve is based in Washington D.C., of course, but there's a New York branch, a Chicago branch. Like if you go downtown, there's a Federal Reserve Bank of Chicago.
Huh.
And so they're keeping tabs on, like the Federal Reserve Bank of Chicago is keeping tabs on all the Midwest corporations and Midwest banking systems.
So they all meet together?
So yeah, a group of them will all meet together, I believe in D.C.
From like each branch? Or whatever?
It's rotating, but many of the branches will come fly to D.C. and have that meeting, yeah.
Gotcha.
And they'll all come and they'll convene, they'll talk, and then they'll vote. Should we move interest rates up? Should we move interest rates down? Because they know, and as you guys know, because I say it all the time, that is the number one factor impacting our economy is interest rates. Sam, you went into some sort of like Twilight Zone.
Yeah, I don't. I just didn't know what to say. I don't know how to be funny.
So don't be funny. Just be honest. So the Fed said we're going to hold interest rates steady. All right. Their targets, as you guys might remember, 2%. Excuse me, 2% inflation. They want to keep inflation around 2%. And
I think that's a good idea, personally.
Yeah, of course you do. Why? Why do you think that's a good idea, Sam?
That's my favorite type of milk. It's yeah.
So that's the Federal Reserve, and the markets kind of went down a little bit on that news. Oh yeah, that's one reason the markets went down in the middle of the week.
Yeah,
was because of the Fed. I think people were secretly hoping the Fed would come out and be like, "Yeah, we're thinking about lowering rates and making it cheaper for money to be borrowed," but they didn't come out and say that.
Gotcha.
Last but not least, our boy Elon Musko.
Ooh.
Lani.
Tesla.
Yeah.
And now, so they've
Electric Jesus Part 2.
I can't believe our government and the world doesn't like throw more support behind this dude, man. Like this guy is solving like climate change because we're burning less petroleum because of this guy.
Yeah.
I mean, he would prevent wars, but no. What happened like recently was the tax credit. If you buy an electric car, the tax credit has been cut in half. So before you
what
were
does
getting,
that mean?
You were getting $7,000 in tax credit if you bought an electric car.
I don't think I know what tax credit is.
Well, like you save $7,000 on your tax.
Oh yeah, okay.
But now it's been cut to like $3,200 or something like that, and so less people are buying electric cars because the government. Why did the government do that?
Yeah.
Budget cuts.
Oh, okay.
That's probably
and
why.
there's probably more people buying electric cars now that there are more.
There are.
Yeah.
Well, actually, the truth is, once the tax cut went down to $3,200, less people bought electric cars.
Yeah.
And so Musk made less money last quarter, and so they're struggling a little bit financially. And
I
as a
don't think
result,
the government likes Musk.
I think the government can't stand
He's
Musk.
a wild card.
I mean, he's massively changing the way the economy could potentially work.
Yeah.
And the government doesn't like change.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
No, he doesn't.
I feel like this would be a much better world if Musk was unrestricted.
Yeah.
You want Musk to
And
be
I'm
president?
pretty sure he's a
Yes, I would
a
vote for him
psychedelic
as
guy
president.
too.
I'm sure he's a psychedelic.
Yeah, he goes to like
Yeah.
Burning Man and shit.
He goes to Burning Man?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
believe it. And he smoked weed on obviously Joe Rogan show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, so anyways, what was it? So they've been having a couple of tough quarters, making less money, burning through cash, and he announced that they need to raise capital. They're low on money, and so they're going to sell some stock, about $500 or $600 million of stock. They're going to sell some more of the company, and then they're going to borrow through convertible debt. Basically, they're borrowing money, another up to $1.5 or $1.6 billion.
So what exactly is convertible debt? Just so I can understand.
Basically,
It's like a debt, but with no roof on it. You can press a button. and
That's the first thought that came to my mind, but I was pretty sure that wasn't it.
yeah. So convertible debt is regular debt. All right. Musk has to pay an interest rate on that debt. Okay.
So like a loan?
It's a loan.
Mm-hmm.
However, in the future, it could convert to equity if the bondholder so chooses. I haven't looked at convertible debt in a long time, but I believe that's how it works.
Like equity in the company.
Correct. You can actually say, you know what, Musk, don't pay me back the $1 billion you owe me. I'm just going to take $1 billion in stock now.
Gotcha.
And so the price is set today at what the stock price would be. So in 5 years, the investor might be like, yeah, man, Tesla's now killing it. They're the number one electric car company. I don't even want the payback. I'm just going to take stock. And then they're gonna own the stock.
So would they take the stock at the price it is today?
Correct. Well, the price is set today. It's like a premium, and I don't exactly know how that part works.
Okay.
But I believe the price is set today so that the convertible bondholder can decide in the future.
It makes sense to me, right? Because like if the future, if it's worth more, they would want to keep it as the stock, and then that way they would actually make money when they sell the stock.
You got it.
Yeah.
So Musk is raising money. Tesla's raising money. And I'm a buyer of Tesla. I like Tesla. I think this dude, no one's innovating, in my opinion, as powerfully as Elon Musk. And that's what our economy is about these days, is technology and innovation. And the guy is just at the cutting edge. Will he eventually figure out how to get Tesla to be making money? Yes. I think so. He's not the best business guy, but I think he'll get the right people around him, or at least people will approach him and help him and figure it out. He just needs to keep innovating.
Maybe then he needs Teju.
Maybe he needs Teju.
But he doesn't do anything. Like, he's not a scientist. I guess he's
he is.
He's an engineer.
He absolutely is a rocket scientist.
Yeah. But does he, like, actually make the things? Or does he just have a team of scientists who's like, hey, figure this out?
My guess is he's actively involved in the engineering teams and the design.
Okay.
Yeah. He's just got,
cool.
He's very experienced.
Cool.
All right. That's the news of the week. We're going to talk about, I want to go basic, like really simple, because I feel like I've never talked about this. Why bother investing? That's the question I want to ask.
To get rich quick.
Honestly, you're not that far off. It's basically free money in a way. You know, the way our economy and our government is set up, investing, according to historical data, historical standards, according to history.
We found stock fossils from billions of years ago.
I wish. If you bought like Walt Disney stock when it first came out.
T-Rex stock. If you bought Walt Disney stock when it first came out, when Walt Disney came up with the idea and you bought their stock and you held it till today, just one share, I don't know what it'd be worth, but you'd have a lot of money.
But you'd have millions.
Yeah.
You probably paid like $1 for it. You'd have millions.
They'd probably make a Disney movie about you.
They probably would. Yeah. With Dwayne Johnson as a star.
Yeah.
Don't ask who he is.
And he'd be like, "You're welcome." Just start singing.
What can I say except you're welcome? So why invest? The quick answer is free money. But I don't want to be too, laissez-faire with that comment. I don't want to say that too freely. The reality is you've got a shot at being wealthy.
Yeah.
Investing gives you a shot at being wealthy. And for the majority of people, the way corporate America and corporate power is, most people don't have that shot.
Yeah, or hedge your bets. Just invest in lottery tickets.
It's a great bet.
Yeah.
Dude, you know this, the reality. Most people who win the lottery lose it all within a few years.
Yeah.
So you can grow your money. That's why you invest, is to grow your money. And within 5 years, 10 years, depending on the performance of the stock market or the bond market,
you will be filthy rich guaranteed.
Exactly. No.
And if you're not, you can sue the government legally.
Yeah, and if they don't pay you, you can sue Sam Prickett legally.
Yeah, for giving this advice.
But no, you end up
to get sued.
You end up you'd love to get sued.
Yeah.
You'd have we'd have Yahya be your lawyer.
You'd be my lawyer. Would you be? Yeah, that'd be fun.
I can argue pretty good.
You end up working less over the years. With every year of growth in the asset you're holding, right? What's so funny?
I just thought of like an image of me in court and be like, and Sam Prickett's final closing arguments is, quote, "Bullshit, man." He's typing it down.
The stenographer reads it out in such a British accent.
Yeah.
Somehow it gets beeped out still.
Yeah.
So you end up working less over the years. So let's say you invest in assets and they grow over time, right? I've always talked about how your money doubles according to historical averages. Your money will double every 7 years if the stock market continues to grow at the same rate it grew for the last 100 years. All right, so if Sam, you put in money $5,000 today, it's worth $10,000 in 7 years. Hypothetically, I know there's going to be ups and downs. It might not be exactly 7 years, but over a 7-year on average period, you will double your money. And in 14 years, it'll be approximately 4 times. And so you're basically shaving years that you have to work, or building wealth in a way where you don't have to work as much, and you can actually take some hours away from your normal weekly schedule because you're earning wealth in order to do something else you love, like a hobby or an art or something like that.
It's basically following the idiom work smarter, not harder.
Work smarter, not harder. Exactly. Now, there's other reasons to invest besides just free money.
Because it's fun.
It can be fun.
People will like you.
I've never really had that much fun investing money.
Yeah.
I mean, the only part of it that's fun is like, you know, like...
I like gambling.
I mean, it can't...
But I like it immediately. I don't want to gamble and then wait for 7 years to see what happens.
There's 3 types of investors I've realized. Okay, one is the gambling type, which is like, oh, Amazon's going to go up today. And then they buy it and they wait today and it doesn't go up or it doesn't go up. Those are gamblers. But then there's like end of the world peeps. These are like, you know, the end of the world's coming soon. I can only buy gold and real estate because if the end of the world comes, all these stocks and bonds are meaningless. I just need to own some land and some gold bars.
Yeah.
I feel like if the end of the world is coming, you just want to be with your family.
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
These are the saddest people.
Sitting on a shit ton of gold and be like, I'm ready to die now.
Yeah. Just tears crying. They're like, well, I really didn't have my priorities.
You got all this gold and nothing to buy with it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Beating each other up with the
marauders coming with guns and whatever. And
you're throwing your
gold bricks at them.
Get away! I'm glad I bought these gold bricks.
Yeah.
Right.
Who needs a gun? So there's end of the world peeps. There's gambling peeps, and then what I like to do, which is like being I call an index peep, which is basically someone who invests in indexes. You know, you're buying a whole basket of stocks, and you're a
bouquet. Yeah,
you're playing the long term. You know, which is what I believe in.
A bouquet, but all the flowers are green. Am I right? It's like a money thing.
Yeah. I like it. Shaped in dollar signs. Now, so there's other reasons, right? Financial security. I'm not saying you get full peace of mind. I'm not saying you get full security and safety. No, money doesn't do that. That's bullshit. I tried.
It will enlighten you, guaranteed.
In what way? Do you really believe that?
In God, yeah. If you invest in the right stock, if you invest in Tesla stock,
you'll be enlightened.
Yes, you get the Buddha field of awareness.
I'm picturing DuckTales swimming in money. Remember
yes,
that?
Yeah.
Uncle Scrooge. That's enlightenment.
You get a halo around your head, but that's a golden coin, baby.
So financial security and like a little bit more peace of mind. Like I'll tell you, like when I had kids, I bought life insurance. I bought a 30-year policy. I think I pay like $80 a month for it. And if I were, God forbid, if I'm to die in the next 30 years, so between 38 and 68, ages 38 and 68, if I'm to die, the beneficiaries, my wife and kids, will get immediately $1 million.
Wow, each one?
No, I wish.
That's all you're worth?
Me? Bro, that's an overestimate. No, so you can get $2 million, $3 million. You just have to keep paying more per month.
Gotcha.
Know? I wonder, but I'm sure there's got to be a limit at some point.
If you kill yourself,
I never looked it up
because
I'm too scared.
Have you?
No,
there's,
I'm
there's
sure
a
there's
play
a-
about that. The Death of the Salesman. Do you guys know that?
Yeah,
I
well,
read it in high school.
Yeah,
I don't really
like
remember.
he like kills himself so his like kids can get his like life insurance.
That's a
really
truly
sad.
Selfless act.
selfish.
I think he was going crazy.
So that's selfish to have your kids to give your kids millions of dollars.
And they're going to use all that money for therapy for the rest of their life because you just killed yourself. Dad
What if you
killed
just
himself.
act like an asshole, like up until that point, so they're like a little glad?
That could be... No, that's not a solution, you dumbass. No,
Yeah.
it's their dad. If your dad kills himself, like, God forbid.
Yeah.
Like, when suicide
Like
is a
half
terrible...
of the comics I know.
Want to kill themselves?
No, half the comics I know have at least one or both dead parents.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Why do you say yes, Shreya?
Well, yeah, because that's like I was like growing up, I'd like read a lot of these stories, right? And I'd be like, darn it, I have a perfect family. I can't be a superhero.
Oh, I got
You know what I mean?
Like
It's just-
Spider-Man?
Yeah, like it's
That is the
literally
thing.
everything. Like even freaking Harry Potter,
Yeah.
right? Like everyone.
That's the
Orphans.
thing. If you're like pursuing an art, you have like shame and guilt over not experiencing trauma.
Yeah,
like as much
exactly.
like I'm not as as I could be, so I'll never be great at the thing.
Wow. Which is not true. I'm sure there's many
It
great
helps
artists.
though.
I'm sure there's many great artists that have two parents and grew up in a great home.
Yeah, yeah.
There's got to be. I mean,
No.
yeah, come on, there's gotta be.
Name
all right.
one.
So there's some other reasons why to invest. So, there's this other reality that I'll share, and I'll probably end on this. Shit's getting worse in the world, right? Like I said earlier, like the rich are getting richer, the poor are getting poorer. People are making the same amount of money they made 50 years ago, basically, when you adjust for inflation. It's harder to get a real job and make gradually more and more income in a big way. So the corporate rulers, let's call them, or the people who run the corporations, they basically they make a bunch of money. Some goes to employees, some goes to shareholders. Less money seems to be going to employees.
Yeah.
More money seems to be going to shareholders. It only makes sense as quote unquote employees or wage workers. It only makes sense for the average person to invest some of their money in the market, because they're going to be able to participate in what all that money shareholders are making in the stock market. And so if you just rely on your paycheck from your corporation, you may not be able to keep up. They're going to continue to pay less and less. It's just how the power corporations have. They're going to pay less and less to employees, and they give more and more to shareholders. So become a shareholder. That's the obvious thing that I'm trying to say here. That's another reason to invest. Gotta participate the way the rich are getting richer. Buy assets.
Cool.
That's all I got right now.
Yeah, I think that was a nice way to close this up.
I like it too. Teju, Thank you very much. I know you're not on, but we're saying thank you to your spirit for teaching us about everything. Sam.
Yeah.
You've been beautiful.
I kind of sucked today. I apologize.
No, it's all
I think
good.
you were great, man.
Nah, it wasn't good.
Is that your shame and guilt from
He's just being humble.
being an artist?
No, I'm not. No.
He's trying to give himself trauma.
I should have.
Yeah, stop self-traumatizing yourself.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna give myself 30 lashings after this. I'm gonna go home. I'm a bad boy. I'm a bad boy.
Bad boy.
Yahya, my main man, investment posse brother. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Shreya Shedigar, producer of the year.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Peace
you.
out, guys.
Peace.
Have a good day.